Good morning. I am John Freund. These are not my glasses. If you were at the, they belong to Carol? Okay. Get that taken care of?
That was after I lost my phone.
Oh, okay. I don't have your phone. Okay, back to our regularly scheduled program. Welcome all of you to our service here at Central Unitarian Church. My name is John Freund. I am kind of a Swiss Army knife here. I pretty much do whatever has to be done that I can do, and sometimes it's not what I can do, but I do it anyway. That's what community is about. And CUC is an inclusive community of all ages, which embraces diversity, identity, diversity in identity, expression, and spiritual belief. And we gather here each Sunday in worship to find inspiration and hope and renewal among this community of like-hearted individuals. If you are visiting us for the first time in person, or for the second time or third, please be sure to say hello to one of our welcome hosts, which today are Patricia and Jamal back there. And if you are visiting us online, hi there, I think, over here. Please be sure to click the link provided in the chat and sign our guest book and provide us with your name and contact information. We invite you to stay after service for a coffee, conversation, and connection in the same space. Coffee today is supplied by Gay, and also Rudy, I guess, brought some pies. Is that right? Yay. As we prepare to begin our service this morning, we ask those in person to please silence your electronic devices, set them to stun, turn them off, throw them out, whatever serves the purpose. On the subject of coffee, our first announcement is that we need more people to do this. We are still in need of hosts for the coming weeks. Coffee hour really isn't that big a deal. You can make the hour whatever you want. Coffee is supplied. You just have to make it. You can have light snacks if you like. Others choose to make it more elaborate. Hey, you do you. We'll all be grateful for that. The snacks can be donated or reimbursed by CUC if you need. That's fine. Hosts also help with setup and cleanup for the coffee hour. So if you've never hosted before, we can also connect you with an experienced host that can show you how easy it is, and you'll go, oh, I can do that. So sign up is in the back of the room, I think where the coffee is. Today after service, Reverend Andrée will be leading a monthly Soul Matters Sharing Circle. This is an opportunity to explore our monthly theme, which is repair this month, in a small group discussion. If you would like to participate, please see Reverend Andrée directly following the service. Also, Wednesday, November 20th, is the Trans Day of Remembrance, an international day to recognize our trans siblings who have lost their lives due to transphobia. In honor of this day and in response to the hatred our trans community has faced through this election and will continue to face in years ahead, CUC, Bergen County LGBTQ+ Alliance, Paramus PFLAG, and Westwood Pride are organizing a service on November 20th at 7 p.m. here in the clubhouse and also online. In addition to recognizing those whose lives have been impacted by hate, we will also celebrate the resilience of our trans community. An offering will be collected during the service to support the work of the Pink Haven Collective. There is another announcement about outreach auction. Linda Fritsch, you're on.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
My name is Linda Fritsch. I'm here on behalf of the UU Outreach of Bergen County. It's hard to believe, though, that we are in our 24th year. Yeah.
Yay.
Over the past 23, our sole focus was for nonprofit organizations throughout Bergen County to provide basic life needs. Some of these charities were, we tackled issues such as hunger, homelessness, immigration, LGBTQ rights, domestic violence for women and children abuse, and working with the poor people to help them with their medical. The outreach auction in the last 23 years has raised $776,000, and we have donated 100% of that, of the proceeds to them, which we are very proud of. This year, however, we have a couple of new ones. We have Westwood Cares, Community Meals, Bergen Volunteer Medical Initiative. No, that's not new, but there are some new. Bergen County LGBTQ Alliance, the Northern New Jersey Sanctuary Coalition, and Alzheimer's of New Jersey. Even as these services are needed, fundraising continues. It's challenging, and these organizations need our help. So there's many ways you can help. Most importantly, you can help by virtually attending. It will take place on Saturday, December 7th through the 14th. It'll start at 7 p.m. If you need any help with getting online, or you need any help registering, or just see our committee, it's Jeff and John and me and Brooke, who's not here today, but yeah, so we'll be more than happy to help you with that. Also, we need some donations on singular items that can be sold during the auction. We need to donate some tricky tray things, some themes, big, small, doesn't matter, donation certificates. If you know anyone, a service of some sort, you can donate those. We do have tax forms to give out to those places for their tax purposes. And every year, I just want you to know, I've been doing this for 24 years too. Every year, we all feel an enormous pride of satisfaction when we have to give them their checks. They're so overwhelmed by the love and the giving and the support that they get from us. So just want you to keep that in mind. So see any one of us, we'll be more than able to help you get ready for this wonderful auction. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. And now, let us more formally begin our gathering by actually an informal moment. Let's all turn to a person near you and offer them a warm welcome.
Good morning. Morning back there. Our opening words this morning come from the Reverend Maureen Killeran. Welcome, you who come in need of healing, who are confused or have been betrayed. Welcome with your problems and with your pain. Welcome to your joys and wonderings. Welcome your need to hope, your longing for assurance. Instead of answers, here may you find safety for your questions. Instead of promises, may you find community for your struggles. People with hands and hearts to join you in engaging the challenges and changes of our day. Let us worship together. Please rise and body your spirit for our opening hymn. If you're following along in the hymnal, it's 108, My Life Flows On, an Endless Song. The words are up here on the screen. I'd like to invite board member Allison Sosinsky up to lead us in our chalice writing words.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Allison Sosinsky, member of your Board of Trustees, as well as a youth group advisor. And after this week, I'm really glad to be here with all you. And if you'll join with me in saying the chalice lighting words that are based on our vision statement. We light this chalice to remind us of our dreams, to nourish our heart, mind, and spirit, to work towards a better world for all, to embrace the whole of our human experience, to honor our past and our gifts of the present, to create a community where each of us may find healing, transformation, and hope.
The story I have to share today is a Zen Buddhist story. And this one version comes from the book Doorways to the Soul by Alyssa Davy Perlman. Once two Buddhist monks were on a journey to a distant monastery when they came to a river. There on the bank sat a young woman. "I beg you," she asked, "could you carry me across? The current is strong today and I'm afraid I might be swept away." The first monk remembered his vows never to look or touch a woman, and so, without much as a nod, he crossed through the heavy flowing currents and soon reached the other side. The other monk showed compassion and bent down so the woman could climb on his back and cross the river. Although she was slight, the current was strong and the rocky bottom made it difficult crossing. Reaching the other side, he let the woman down and went on his way. After some hours journeying on the dusty road in silence, the first monk could no longer contain his anger at the second for breaking their vows. "How could you look at that woman?" he blurted out. "How could you touch her, let alone carry her across that river? You've put our reputation at stake." The first monk looked at his companion and smiled. "I put that woman down way back there at the riverbank. I see you are still carrying her. What is it that you need to put down?" And given the strong currents of the river that we're about to enter in the coming 4 years, what is it you need to pick up and carry with you? How do our shared Unitarian Universalist values guide us in determining this? Our values of interdependence, pluralism, justice, transformation, generosity, equity, love. How do they guide us in this time we find ourselves in? What is it you need to put down? And what is it you need to carry with you? Today we'll spend time considering both of these questions. We're going to take a moment for something relatively new that we don't do very often. I am periodically inviting members of our congregation to share a testimony of what this congregation means to them. And so our first volunteers to share that this morning are Linda Fritz and Janet Pavid.
We're not here to entertain. But we may, because, we're a couple, so. When Reverend Andrée asked me to come up here and do a testimony, I think it's been years since I did it with Rab Bell, if any of you remember him. And we did it on a video, and it was quick, and it was in the garden, and it was very spontaneous. And I kind of like to be spontaneous. I don't want to plan my speech or my testimony because it's in here all the time. And so today I'd like to share with you that I've been part of this church for 26 years, something like that, yeah. The time just went, pfft. And I brought my daughter here when she was 10, and now she's a mom of 3, sorry. It has been, this is my second home, this is my community. We've been through so many challenges as a congregation. And we have been through so many ministers even, but every time, really, it's the love and the support and the friendships that we have all made together. And I relish those. I mean, it brings out the better side of me, and it brings me to what I feel is important, which is service. And I'm on pastoral care, and I've done all the auctions, and I can't give it up. I'm addicted. So, thank you. That's really all I have to say on my behalf.
We're a couple, but we're not really very much alike at all. I commit to CUC because you are my people, and because we need a place where we can be together as our authentic selves, and that is not always easy to find. So that's why I'm here, and that's why I stay, and that's why I give, and that's why I do what I do, because this whole thing just needs to keep going on. Thank you.
Although it may feel this way sometimes, we are not alone. Our lives are built on shared commitments, giving and receiving together. Our congregation serves as a place where we intentionally practice this shared living. Interdependence in a culture that overemphasizes independence. And one of the ways that we practice our independence is through our congregation's finances, which depend on the generous contributions of members and friends. And so we pause each week to recognize this particular form of sharing, each of us giving what we can to support the mission and the vision of Central Unitarian Church. Your contribution helps each and every one of us grow, serve, and most importantly, to live lives centered on love. Our offering will now be gratefully received. If you would please say with me the dedication words for our gifts that are appearing on the screen here. We dedicate these gifts in service of our mission to welcome all into a home of spiritual diversity that challenges us to become our best selves, to minister to one another in love, and to serve the greater community.
Now we enter into a time of meditation, taking a moment to share together the joys and sorrows of this congregation, something we do together each week as a way of caring for each other. I have a few written joys and sorrows that I will share out loud. If any of you online have a joy or sorrow to share, please take a moment to type them into the chat, and I will also read those. And then I will turn to this group and invite you to share out loud the name of anybody else you're holding in your heart today. We'll enter into a moment of silence, followed by a prayer. So let us prepare ourselves, entering into this time of connection, connecting to something deeper, something greater than each of our individual selves. As we prepare to share and receive the joys and sorrows for this community for Sunday, November 10th, 2024. I invite you now to share out loud the name of anybody else that you are holding in your hearts this morning. May all these joys and all these sorrows, both spoken and unspoken, be held together in our hearts as we enter into a moment of silence. Spirit of life, we gather today still carrying so much from this week. Some of us feel defeated, not quite sure where to go from here. Some of us feel compelled to action, ready to continue the work of change. Some of us feel tired after all this time of hatred and division, which remains so openly embraced by so many in our country, in our communities, and even in some of our families. Some of us feel all these things and more. It's so easy to dig into the data, into the analysis, into the opinions of what happened and what didn't happen, what went right and what went wrong, to who to praise, who to blame, what is and what isn't going to happen from here. Whew. Such ruminations are necessary, but they remain empty without acknowledging the deep wounds that still remain open. And in order to heal them, we need to reflect on and acknowledge what we are carrying. So help us, Spirit of life and transformation, to begin down that path of healing. Our very lives may depend on it. Remind us that there's no one way to feel, there's no one way to react to the current moment. Remind us that part of the work of healing means allowing each and every one of us to feel what we feel. Remind us that part of the work of healing means not insisting how people should feel or act, but remaining open to how we collectively lay down those feelings or collectively transform them to carry forward. May we not deny any of our feelings of grief. May we acknowledge it. May we choose to lay it down. May we choose to transform it into new knowledge we can carry forward. May we not deny our feelings of anger. May we acknowledge it. May we choose to lay it down, or may we choose to transform it into action that can propel us into the future. May we not deny any of the feelings we carry today. May we acknowledge them, and then may we make a choice. After all, how we move forward from here is a choice. As we said last week, a nation is a choice. A community is a choice. And others may also make other choices. But we do not have to be alone in how we choose to move forward. And we can, in fact, be tens of millions strong. For now, for today, for this moment, we can begin the process of healing. For some repair is needed on the rocky road ahead. So let us pause. Let us breathe. And let us lovingly hold whatever it is we are carrying. And then, and only then, can we decide where to go from here. Blessed be. Amen. I invite you to remain seated for our next hymn, There is More Love Somewhere.
There is more love
Our reading this morning comes from Atina O. Danner, who describes herself as an unapologetically black time-traveling poet activist who dwells in the past to survive the future. She writes toward beloved community, black liberation, and collective imagination. And this reading comes from her book, Incantations for Rest. It's called Mending. If you are feeling worn thin and riddled with holes, I hope you will take comfort in the fact that much can be mended. Mending comes in many forms, and be aware, mending won't make a thing new. You will be the same as what makes you, yourself, patched up, pulled together, and swiftly sewn. If you've got time for darning, it is work, 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 work. Tedious as meditation, and sometimes as rewarding. Just do what you have time for. My fabric has a lot of holes. I'm grateful for the stars I can see through them, the sunlight warming my blood. I mend some, I leave some, mend some, leave some. Patching in remnants of steel wire and my own voice. You deserve. It will be okay. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Keep sewing. Truth holds together, and I wear the truth I've told. When places in life tear and wear thin, examine the frayed edges and the threadbare patches. And if they tear, appreciate the light coming in as you learn how best to mend.
We all need some mending right now, regardless of our political affiliation. And one of the ways for us to examine the frayed edges and threadbare patches is to consider not simply what we're thinking, our news sources and other programming can help us do that, but to consider what we're feeling. Our feelings, after all, are not superfluous. They serve a purpose. Our feelings can help us to better understand our needs. What we traditionally consider positive feelings point towards needs that are not being met, while negative feelings point towards needs that are not met. So a feeling of joy can come from meeting my need of connection or my need for fun. A feeling of fear can come from my need of safety not being met. Those feelings and needs can help us in speaking those words of mending to ourselves. They can help us say, as we heard in our poem, it will be okay, or keep going. Most importantly, when it comes to mending, those feelings and needs help us to understand what we are carrying. Pausing to reflect on them can help us better understand what is weighing us down, or perhaps even what we're missing. They can help us to answer questions. What is it you need to put down? And what is it you need to take with you? So I want to give us some time to consider these questions, beginning with the first question. What is it you need to put down? Consider for a moment in silence what you are carrying. What are you feeling? Does that feeling point to a need that has been met or not met? Based on that, is there anything you need to put down? If so, each of you have been given a piece of paper and a pen. As we pause for a moment, write down what it is you need to let go of. For example, perhaps I feel fear because of my need for control. Perhaps given the immense uncertainty of the next few years, I need to lay down that need of control. Or perhaps I sense unchecked anger in myself. I don't ignore it, but I want to put it down. There's no right answer here, just the answer that rises up for you. What is it you need to put down? Take a few moments to consider this and write your answer on that paper. Has everybody got something written down? I need a little bit more feedback. Yes? No? Yes? Okay. Here's what we're going to do. We've got a nice big hefty paper for this. Crumple up that thing that you need to let go of. Now the next part has an important caveat. I'm going to give you the caveat first. Without hitting anybody nearby, throw it away. Good. We've all started a little bit of the work of mending. Yeah, there's like a little bit of a release there, right? Whew. Now we're going to consider what it is that you need to take with you. The current of the next few years is strong, and we could easily be swept away. What is it that you need to cross to the other side? Perhaps my anger tells me I need to take action to get involved in social justice issues. Perhaps my grief tells me that I need to hold my own heart tenderly in time ahead without ignoring my own pain or the pain of those around me. Again, there's no right answer, just what arises for you. What is it that you need to take with you? And when you feel like you might have an answer, I invite you to come up here. You're going to have to navigate all of these things we've thrown away. Don't slip on the things we've thrown out. I invite you to come up here, and there's a whole collection of stones and little puffies, animals, butterflies, shells, rocks. There's a whole bunch of things here. And I invite you to choose an object that represents what you think you need to take with you. And that object, whatever you grab, will serve as a talisman for the years ahead. So consider, what is it you need to take with you? And then come up and take an object that can serve as your talisman for that. Anybody willing to share what they took and what it stands for them? Annette, you want to share?
Colonel that struggles so mightily to make it to the water when it's hatched, and then keeps on going, hoping that we can keep going, and then our grandchildren and children thrive.
Thank you, Annette. Anywhere else, Jamal?
I chose the eagle
Yeah,
for spring.
nice. One more. Yeah,
Which is the butterfly. Butterfly stands for transformation,
yeah.
which is what we have to do now. And it also stands for freedom. And even if we lose our freedom, nobody can control our thoughts.
Yeah.
That will always be free in our mind.
Always be free. That's lovely. Thank you. One more, Allison. Go ahead.
I also chose the butterfly because honored butterflies have the courage to travel so far, yet where they need to go.
Keep these with you. I encourage you. We all have to continue the task of mending what's in our hearts and put these talismans in a place that don't keep them in a pocket or a drawer. Put them somewhere that you will run into it regularly. Maybe next to your television or wherever you keep your cell phone. It's a good thing, you know? The things that kind of bring us all the anxiety of the world, keep that talisman somewhere where you can remind yourself of what you're carrying into the years ahead. Because we're gonna need that into the future. I was preparing for this service on Friday, reflecting myself on not just me, but what is it as a country we might need to put down? What is it we might need to carry with us? And I headed out to Michael's to get some supplies. And on my way home, I passed Ferncliff Cemetery in Hartsdale. As some of you know, I live over the river in Westchester. So I was in Hartsdale, New York. And Ferncliff, I don't know if any of you have ever heard of it. It's actually a pretty famous cemetery. It's a diverse and non-sectarian cemetery that was founded in 1902. And there's many celebrities interred there, including Cab Calloway, Joan Crawford, Ozzie Davis, Oscar Hammerstein, Jam Master Jay, Thelonious Monk, Ed Sullivan. And I remembered, too, as I was nearing it, that James Baldwin and Malcolm X are also interred there. So I decided I was going to pay him a visit. Because who better to commune with during this week of intense polarization than two black men who were actively engaged in the struggle for a better world during another time of intense polarization in this country. Malcolm X, of course, an intellectual, an activist, and a spiritual leader. James Baldwin, an intellectual, an activist, a writer, was also an out gay man. The two, actually, I didn't realize this, but I looked into it. The two of them actually became friends after participating together in a radio broadcast in 1961. Baldwin described Malcolm X as his soulmate. And Malcolm X once told Baldwin, "I'm the warrior in this revolution, and you're the poet." The equality at Ferncliff Cemetery is partially achieved through uniformity. There's no fancy monuments or tombstones. Each individual grave is the same, just a bronze plaque, roughly a few feet long, lying flat on the ground. So gazing across the cemetery lawn on that crisp blue autumn Friday afternoon, I couldn't see the identical rows of individual graves unless I looked directly down at my feet. Malcolm's marker displays his full name, Haj Malik al-Shabazz, noting both his Muslim faith and the fact that he'd completed the Hajj in his lifetime, which is the pilgrimage to Mecca. A relief of maple leaves adorns the top of the marker, matching the actual red and brown leaves that are surrounding it that day. And he shares the grave with his wife, Betty Shabazz. Malcolm was assassinated in 1965 at the age of 39. A few small stones and a Black Lives Matter bracelet served as evidence of previous visitors. And I added 2 small stones to the grave for both Malcolm and his wife Betty in honor of my own visit. James Baldwin rests over the hill in another part of the cemetery in a similar nondescript grave. He shares this with his mother. A motif of dogwood flowers frame the grave marker. Someone had left a St. James Baldwin candle there. At one point it had been lit, but on this Friday it was out. Baldwin died of cancer in 1987 while living in France. He'd outlived his friend Malcolm by 22 years. Baldwin was no stranger to death or assassinations. He was friends with Medgar Evans and Martin Luther King Jr., who of course were both also assassinated. All 3 had been killed within just a 5-year period. And the emotional tolls of these deaths actually led him to move to France, where he spent the latter part of his life. And communing with these 2 historical giants this week in particular reminded me how much they risked their lives, casting alternatives to the dominant narrative that our country was a unified nation that offered freedom for all. Their narratives about division and hatred and violence in this country proved their point when they were met with hatred and violence. And the battle still rages on, as we well know. The bland uniformity of the cemetery belies the struggle against racism, with both of them dedicated their lives to ending. And while they shared common ground in that struggle as warrior and poet, they came about it in completely different ways. James Baldwin and Malcolm X, like many leaders of their time, were divided in their future vision for a world without racism. Malcolm leading much of his life toward separatism and Black nationalism, and Baldwin leaning much of his life towards assimilation and inclusion. Both of them changed throughout their lives, probably growing closer together on outlook, but never completely aligning. They both had the same demand, though, one that bridges between their division, a bridge that they shared with King and Evers and others. They both demanded a nation where divisions didn't kill people because of hate or power or simply a lack of resources. And I was struck in that cemetery realizing that there's a fear that exists across the political spectrum right now, a fear that our lives will be at risk because of a lack of resources, whether that is jobs, finances, healthcare, or housing. For many of us, that fear is very real and very deep, and lives are indeed at risk. And for all of us, that fear right now, instead of bringing us together, is driving us into deeper division and deeper polarization. And considering all this, standing in that cemetery, my thoughts in conversation with the poet and the warrior, I considered, what is it we as a nation need to put down? And what is it we need to take up as we once again enter into the rough currents of the next 4 years? Perhaps, as a nation, we need to put down the notion that we were ever unified as a nation. And too often, unity in our national consciousness has been mistaken for uniformity, with differences either hidden or ignored, or most often just targeted for removal. Perhaps we need to put down the idea that to be unified, we all need to be in alignment and in agreement with each other. We need to put down the polarizing concept of you're either with us or against us. Because even in the poles of left and right, this dangerous stance sows even further division. Being in solidarity doesn't mean we all need to be the same, doesn't need to mean we all need to hold similar opinions and agree to the same tactics in order to work together. Jimmy and Malcolm remind us of that. We need the warriors and the poets. We need the peace activists and the anarchists. Perhaps, this is a bit radical, but perhaps we need to let go of the idea that this nation will ever fully be one. That may sound radical coming from a minister from the Unitarian Universalist tradition, which in many ways focuses on and stresses unity. But with our history and with our diversity, there has been and perhaps will always be some level of division in this country. But that doesn't mean we should stop building bridges across our differences to deepen our capacity for equity and for pluralism. As we practice letting go of these ideas, it can give us a new way to focus. And we need to take up a few things as we move on our journey across this divided land. We need to carry stories of leaders like Malcolm X and James Baldwin and more. We need to study their words and their actions and the shift they made in their lives, because we tend to just remember little bits, little quotes, and forget that they are real human beings who changed their minds, who changed their approaches, who even compromised and didn't necessarily consider compromise being a weakness, but a strength. Even radical, controversial, outspoken Malcolm X did these things. We need to carry openness and willingness to change. These are, after all, essential tools to bridging across divides. We profess in our shared values not only to acknowledge that every person has inherent worth and dignity, but also that we have the right to flourish with dignity, love, and compassion. And the only way we can work towards that in a polarized nation designed for only a privileged few is to remain flexible and remain ready to learn. So clearly today, we have identified many personal things that we need to put down, that we need to carry with us. And if we sorted through all of these, we'd undoubtedly identify other collective things that we need to put down and carry forward as a nation. These were just a few that spoke to me as I visited the cemetery this Friday. I left that cemetery feeling the weight of our collective emotional and spiritual exhaustion. I think that's why some of us were feeling a little bit of a relief as we were throwing these things out, is we're exhausted. Our polarization has torn through the frayed and tattered fabric of this nation, and it needs mending. And our hearts need mending. And so, let us take part in this work together.
got the manta ray. I actually wanted to get the octopus. But Reverend Andrée said something at the beginning of that I thought was really key, which was figuring out how we were going to get into the current. And, you know, I've been thinking that I've been trying to change the current. Can't do that. Got to sometimes wait, but be on the edge looking for the opportunity to jump in. And whether it's a manta ray that is going to ride the current, or it's an octopus that is going to also ride the current and find a way to squeeze through the tiniest of gaps to get somewhere else. This is how I would like to see us looking at what's in front of us. Can we recite together our chalice extinguishing words to end this service? We extinguish this chalice flame, but not our promise to each other, to act with grace, to hold each other in love, to serve this community and our world. This promise of the heart serves as a reminder of how we live together. May it bring joy to our collective lives.
Please rise and body your spirit for our closing hymn. Love will guide us. 131 if you want to sing along in the hymnal. Let us part today with these words by L.R. Nost. Do not be dismayed by the brokenness of this world. All things break, and all things can be mended, not with time, as they say, but with intention. So go. Love intentionally, extravagantly, unconditionally. The broken world waits in darkness for the light that is you. Blessed be. Amen. Thank you, Matt, for the music this morning. Thank you, John, for being our worship associate. Thank you, Phil, in the back room, for being tech. For all of you who participated in the service. And thank you, Gay, for hosting Coffee Hour again. Please do stay for coffee and connection. And for those of you that wish to join me for the Soul Matter Sharing Circle, we'll start a little afternoon. We want to give some time for us to enjoy Coffee Hour before we begin up here. Blessings.